But now someone with a sharp set of eyes has noticed perhaps a mistruth in the Oprah interview. Here it is.
She has a blanket that sits across her knees for warmth, and it was chilly. And she was like, Meghan, come on, and put it over my knees as well.
Was the move about getting away from the UK press, because the press is, you know, is everywhere, or was the move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
What if I told you the most powerful woman in media now regrets the one interview that defined her entire career? Picture this for a second. Oprah Winfrey, the queen of exclusive sit-downs, the woman known for reading people like an open book, privately admitting she made the biggest mistake of her broadcasting life. But she didn't say it on stage, not in an interview, not even in some vague social media post. It slipped out behind closed doors. One quiet, heavy line about Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. I should have never trusted her. And this is where things get wild, because that one whisper didn't stay private. It exploded into a full Hollywood reckoning that nobody saw coming.
So this was Meghan's very first outing with the Queen. It happened right after her wedding to Prince Harry, and it was obviously extremely important and a significant occasion because it was her first outing with...
Tonight, we're breaking down the secrets Oprah has been sitting on for nearly 3 years, and the ripple effect now shaking Meghan Markle's world in a serious way. For almost 3 years, Oprah stayed completely silent about Meghan Markle. No comments on red carpets, no mentions in interviews, not even those casual insider conversations where people usually loosen up. That silence was loud, especially considering Oprah had welcomed Meghan into her Montecito garden, handed her a massive global platform, and gave her space to speak with zero limits. No time pressure, no aggressive questioning, no editorial pushback. Meghan cried, made accusations, and reshaped her story in front of millions watching worldwide. And Oprah let it happen.
Do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, for my wife's, and for Archie's as well, because I could see where...
At the time, people called it historic, a cultural moment, a landmark interview that changed everything. But behind that calm, polished exterior, cracks were already forming. And some insiders noticed right away. Even back then, whispers started circulating that Oprah felt something wasn't adding up. And now, with new revelations surfacing around July 25th, we finally understand why she created distance and why those early cracks have blown wide open. According to producers connected to that now infamous special, Oprah's doubts began almost immediately after filming Wrapped. She had invited Meghan and Harry to share their truth, but what she reportedly witnessed off-camera shook her more than anyone expected. A former Harpo assistant later revealed that Oprah told people in her inner circle just days after the broadcast aired, "This wasn't journalism, this was PR. I handed them the mic and they ran with it."
She told a story later in her Oprah Winfrey interview in 2021 where she talked about the moment that the Queen was more like a grandma to her because she saw that Meghan may have been cold and put a blanket over her legs as well. And it was it's a small detail and it's a smallish story, but it had significance because it showed the relationship that Meghan had with the Queen.
Soon after, fact-checkers began pointing out inconsistencies. Palace aides quietly leaked receipts that complicated parts of the story. Public opinion started shifting back and forth. But Oprah, she stayed silent. And that silence wasn't random. It was calculated. She doesn't publicly express regret unless there's a serious reason behind it. And apparently that reason started building from the moment the cameras stopped rolling. You might think this is where the story ends. Oprah regrets a risky interview and moves on. But that's not even close, because what comes next shows this situation wasn't just another Meghan controversy. This time, it hit Oprah personally. And what she allegedly discovered behind the scenes could completely change how you see that entire interview forever. What most viewers didn't notice that night was the subtle shift in Oprah's behavior, the small hesitations during certain answers, the longer than usual pauses she allowed to sit in the air. Insiders now claim those moments weren't respect. They were doubt creeping in real time. And it all traces back to one scene that looked harmless to millions watching at home. Meghan's chickens. The rustic coop, the simple wire fencing, the sign reading Archie's Chickens, freshly painted just days before filming, according to reports. What seemed charming on screen was, behind the scenes, apparently the moment that made Oprah start questioning everything. It looked authentic on screen. But to Oprah, something felt off, almost staged. According to a former CBS affiliate editor, Oprah watched the final cut 2 days before it aired. The first time, she sat in total silence. The second time, her concerns started growing, and she reportedly murmured to a producer, "This won't age well." And here's the twist. It wasn't the major allegations or the royal drama that made her uneasy. It was the chicken coop scene.
I want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
What?
Because Oprah immediately understood what that carefully crafted setup was meant to do. Make Meghan and Harry appear relatable, warm, and down to earth. But when she later learned the entire setup had been installed just a week earlier, the fence refreshed, the coop repainted, the illusion suddenly felt calculated. They don't want transparency, they want control, she allegedly confided. That realization created the first real crack in her confidence. But honestly, that wasn't even the most shocking part. What happened after filming Wrapped is what truly rattled her. According to a senior Harpo assistant, as the crew packed equipment and the lights started dimming, Meghan approached a staff member privately, not to say thank you, but to make a request that immediately raised eyebrows. "Just make sure I get a look at the final edit. Oprah will understand." The assistant, surprised, reportedly passed the message straight to Harpo's executive producer, who then informed Oprah herself. Oprah's reaction came fast and firm. "Absolutely not. This is my platform, not Buckingham's, not Meghan's." No guest, not even presidents or global leaders, had ever asked for editorial control before. But the requests didn't stop there. Later that evening, an intermediary allegedly followed up on Meghan's behalf, asking that the final framing align with her truth. And that phrase, her truth, reportedly irritated Oprah more than any public criticism ever could. For decades, Oprah built her reputation on authenticity, raw conversations, interviews that cut straight through public relations spin. And now, from her perspective, this once-in-a-lifetime interview was being treated like a controlled media project, something that could be shaped and managed. From that point on, insiders say Oprah's trust started fading quickly, and she began quietly creating distance from Meghan. Then another moment hit, this time from someone Oprah trusts deeply.
What has been noticed now from that clip is you can actually see from sort of a more of a bird's eye view the Queen with the blanket on her legs in the car on that day. And it's a little difficult to make out very clearly, but it does look like the Queen only put the blanket on her own lap. And again, it seems like a small detail, but it does speak to the relationship.
Just days after the interview aired, when social media was exploding with reactions, Oprah received a text from her close friend Gayle King. At first, Gayle simply wrote, "You weren't the only one. She worked, just wait." Oprah initially assumed she meant network executives or producers, but then Gayle clarified in another message, Meghan had pitched her the exact same concept, almost word for word. A documentary-style project, a 3-part redemption story following Meghan's journey through motherhood, philanthropy, and life after royal life. And here's what made it sting. According to insiders, Meghan had originally pitched that idea to Oprah first. The overlap shocked her. "I thought I was helping her tell her story," she reportedly told her inner circle, but she was helping herself build a brand. From that moment, Oprah's regret reportedly turned personal. Not just a professional situation gone wrong, but something that felt like betrayal from someone she believed she understood. And if you think that's the worst part, it gets even deeper. Keep listening, because what Oprah discovered next didn't just shock her as a journalist, it hit her on a personal level, like a friend realizing they had been played. The final blow reportedly came from somewhere totally unexpected, inside Meghan's own team. An unnamed stylist who worked closely with Meghan during the final wardrobe fitting for the Oprah interview stepped forward with details that were quiet but deeply damaging. This wasn't someone chasing fame. No book deal, no interviews, no social media reveal. The stylist didn't even want her name public, but what she shared with Vanity Fair reportedly shook Oprah to her core. According to the stylist, Meghan appeared warm and charming while cameras were rolling. But once filming ended and the glam team returned to the holding area, her energy allegedly shifted completely. The stylist claimed Meghan spoke about the interview almost like it was a calculated move. Oprah gives credibility. I give the story. That's the trade. And then came the detail that reportedly hit Oprah the hardest. The stylist alleged Meghan laughed about how easy it was to influence the mood during filming. "All I had to do was pause and look sad. Oprah would fill the silence."
I was really ashamed to say it at the time, and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially, because I know how much loss he's suffered. But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it. And I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
For Oprah, a woman whose entire career was built on creating safe spaces for honesty and vulnerability, that revelation reportedly cut deeper than any public criticism ever could. But things didn't stop there, because it turns out someone close to Prince Harry had already tried to warn Oprah before the interview even happened. About 3 weeks before filming, Oprah reportedly received a private message. Not from media gossip or palace staff, but from a longtime friend within Harry's inner circle, someone known for staying completely out of public attention. The message was short, polite, but unsettling. Please tread carefully. Meghan's truth is not the truth. You deserve to know that before you film. At the time, Oprah dismissed it. She had prepared thoroughly, researched extensively, and she wasn't about to cancel what would become one of the most watched interviews of the decade because of a vague warning. But after hearing what the stylist revealed, and after Gayle King's messages, Oprah reportedly admitted something privately to her closest team. I should have asked more questions. I didn't want to take down, but that's exactly what I enabled. That realization, that she may have overlooked credible warnings because she trusted Meghan, reportedly became a turning point. What started as regret turned into something heavier, disillusionment. And this is where the situation escalates even more, because while Oprah was still processing everything, one final piece of information reached her that allegedly sealed her decision to completely distance herself. After the interview aired, Meghan's team had reportedly begun quietly exploring opportunities for a second major tell-all, another platform, another round of revelations, another headline moment. But here's the part that reportedly stung the most. Insiders claim the pitch included the phrase that Oprah wasn't enough. That single sentence, according to sources, left Oprah feeling used in a way she had never experienced before. Not just disappointed, but strategically outmaneuvered. She realized she may have been positioned not as a trusted interviewer, but as a stepping stone, a launch pad for the next chapter of Meghan's public image, a tool to build momentum for what came next. And it was at that exact moment, just after 6 p.m. one evening, that Oprah Winfrey reportedly picked up the phone. She wasn't calling Meghan, and she wasn't calling Harry. She was calling her longtime executive producer. Her voice, according to sources, sounded calm, but unshakably firm. "I want it on the record," she said. "No more Meghan, no more Harry, we're done." When asked what changed, Oprah allegedly responded with a tone that carried real disappointment. "I opened my platform in good faith. What they brought wasn't transparency, it was a performance." From that point forward, everything shifted. Not just for Oprah, but for Meghan Markle and her standing across Hollywood. And what came next didn't arrive through dramatic headlines or public statements. It came through something far more damaging in the entertainment world: silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than criticism. Invitations reportedly stopped appearing in Meghan's inbox. Public relations teams suddenly became unreachable. Producers who once praised her energy and influence started avoiding her team completely. One insider at a major streaming platform allegedly summed it up bluntly: "If Oprah's out, we're out. It's not worth the risk." Hollywood, the same industry that once celebrated Meghan as a symbol of modern royalty, was quietly pulling back. Not with scandal, but with indifference. Because when Oprah signals a loss of trust, the entire industry ecosystem notices. And that ecosystem has a long memory. But the moment that truly cracked Meghan's carefully built image reportedly happened weeks later at a high-profile Hollywood charity gala, the type of event where reputation can make or break careers. Meghan arrived expecting to be welcomed as a major figure, moving confidently through the VIP area. But what she encountered instead caught even her off guard. 3 A-list actresses, all former acquaintances, allegedly turned away when she approached. One reportedly whispered to an assistant, "Tell her I'm not available for photos tonight." Then came the moment that insiders say hit hardest. At her assigned table, Meghan noticed an empty chair beside her, a seat reserved for none other than Viola Davis. But Viola never appeared. According to sources, she had quietly requested to be moved after learning Meghan would be seated next to her. Meghan reportedly understood the message immediately. Behind the scenes, whispers had evolved into open conversations, and those conversations had hardened into a reputation that wasn't easy to shake. And this wasn't just one uncomfortable evening. It was the start of a bigger unraveling, a subtle but undeniable shift in how Hollywood viewed her. In the weeks that followed the gala, Meghan allegedly tried multiple ways to regain control. Quiet outreach to mutual friends, carefully worded messages sent through publicists, even indirect attempts to reconnect with Oprah's circle, but the responses were reportedly cold or simply non-existent. According to a producer close to Oprah, one final message was eventually passed through a mutual contact, short, direct, and impossible to misunderstand. Trust, once broken, doesn't get airtime. That sentence reportedly landed harder than any tabloid story or late-night joke ever could. Because for Meghan, the real damage wasn't public criticism. She had faced that before. The deeper impact was being cut off from the very network she believed she had mastered. An industry that once framed her as a survivor now reportedly viewed her as a strategist who pushed too far and burned the wrong bridge. That's when the reality reportedly hit Meghan Markle the hardest. The influence she thought she had wasn't as solid as she believed. Hollywood relationships aren't just about talent or headlines, they're about trust and alliances. And once those alliances start cracking, the fall can feel sudden and brutal. Insiders say Meghan began leaning more heavily on her inner circle, especially Prince Harry, trying to regroup and figure out their next move. But even within their professional teams, tension was reportedly growing. One former consultant allegedly described the atmosphere as constant damage control, with meetings focused less on new opportunities and more on fixing perceptions that were spiraling. Meanwhile, Oprah Winfrey wasn't making any public statements, and that silence continued to speak volumes. In Hollywood, people pay attention to who Oprah supports, but they pay even more attention to who she distances herself from. According to one industry executive, when Oprah steps back, people read between the lines. Nobody wants to be on the wrong side of that. And then came another complication. Potential partnerships that once seemed guaranteed reportedly started slowing down or quietly disappearing. Meetings were postponed, contracts stalled in negotiation phases, public enthusiasm cooled. None of it dramatic enough for headlines, but enough to create a pattern insiders couldn't ignore. For Meghan, the frustration reportedly grew because from her perspective, she had done exactly what modern media rewards, telling her story, building her brand, creating attention. But what she underestimated was how quickly perception can flip when influential figures feel misled or uncomfortable. Hollywood loves reinvention, but it hates uncertainty. One insider claimed Meghan expressed her disappointment privately, saying, "I thought people wanted honesty. I gave them honesty." But the response she encountered behind the scenes suggested something different, that powerful people weren't questioning her story itself. They were questioning the way it was presented and managed. And that distinction made all the difference. By this point, the situation had evolved beyond one interview, one fallout, or one misunderstanding. It had turned into a reputation shift, the kind that spreads quietly through private conversations, text messages, and closed-door meetings. And once that kind of narrative starts moving through Hollywood networks, stopping it becomes incredibly difficult. What Meghan didn't realize yet was that an even bigger challenge was forming, one that would test not just her public image, but her entire strategy moving forward. The fallout from Oprah's quiet but decisive break with Meghan Markle didn't just stay personal, it reportedly reshaped how the entire entertainment industry viewed her. What once looked like an unstoppable rise, from palace life to podcast deals, from royal departure to Montecito power player, suddenly started slowing down in a serious way. And the scary part? It wasn't driven by scandal or explosive headlines. It was something Hollywood fears even more: irrelevance. Public relations firms that once competed to represent Meghan allegedly began reconsidering their involvement. Studios that had quietly shown interest stopped scheduling meetings. Streaming platforms that once hoped for another major Meghan moment reportedly placed proposals on hold. And insiders kept pointing back to one simple reality. When Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential figures in media, pulls back her support, others notice immediately. Hollywood doesn't just follow trends, it follows power. And Oprah's distance was signaling something clear to decision makers. Trust had shifted, and when trust changes in this industry, momentum changes with it. For Meghan, the impact reportedly went deeper than many people understood. She had handled criticism before, negative headlines, online commentary, even speculation from royal watchers. But this situation was different. It wasn't loud, public, or easy to respond to. It was quiet rejection, the kind that shows up as unanswered emails, postponed meetings, and projects that slowly disappear without explanation. That kind of resistance is almost impossible to counter because there's nothing concrete to argue against. Even some supporters who had once spoken strongly in her favor reportedly became more cautious, concerned about being linked to someone now described in certain circles as difficult behind the scenes or highly strategic with media narratives. Meanwhile, Meghan allegedly tried to stabilize things, reaching out through mutual contacts, discussing new ideas, even offering positive remarks about Oprah publicly. But insiders claim none of it changed the situation. Every attempt reportedly met the same response: distance, silence, no engagement. And here's what many observers missed. This wasn't only about Meghan herself. It reflected the unwritten rules of Hollywood. What happens when someone loses alignment with one of the most trusted gatekeepers in media history? Oprah's silence functioned like a verdict, carrying more influence than any investigative article or tabloid story ever could. Because in entertainment circles, when someone as powerful as Oprah is believed to have said, "I should have never trusted her," people pay attention, and more importantly, they remember. Meghan Markle, once positioned as the symbol of modern royalty and reinvention, wasn't facing exile or scandal in the traditional sense. She was facing something Hollywood considers far worse: fading influence. And in this industry, influence is everything. So as Meghan reportedly confronts this new chapter, one truth stands out. In a world built on relationships, perception, and trust, a single broken connection can quietly, but completely, close doors that once seemed permanently open. If you watch this and have thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe and stay locked in for more deep dives like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who needs to see it.